Good afternoon. I'm Jim Bryant, and it's a pleasure to be speaking with you all today. For the next 10 minutes or so, I'll be providing you with an update on the Chinese publishing industry. First, for those of you who aren't familiar with Openbook, please allow me to introduce you. Openbook is China's leading market research firm focused exclusively on the book publishing industry. Openbook is privately owned and celebrating its 23rd anniversary this year. We monitor the sales of books from more than 13,000 physical and online bookstores. We've created a platform which allows publishers, authors, investors, and others to access real-time sales information and trends that we're seeing in this dynamic market. Openbook's bestseller charts are the de facto standard in China. And over the past several years, we've been working closely with Western publishers and booksellers to identify partnership and investment opportunities in China and throughout Asia. It's interesting to remember that China invented paper and ink over 2,000 years ago, and also invented woodblock printing. During the Tang Dynasty, from 618 to 907 AD, China was the world's leader in book production. And fast forward 1,000 years, and China is once again surely the global leader in the number of books it prints and publishes for domestic and global consumption. And the level of innovation that we're seeing with the way in which publishers are evolving in China is astounding. Let's take a quick look. Here are the main topics we'll discuss today. Let's take a quick look at the overall print market in China in 2020, which has largely been affected by coronavirus. In 2020, China's book retail market shows negative growth for the first time. Last year, Openbook tracked over 97 billion RMB in sales, or approximately 15 billion US dollars. Growth charts show a negative 5% downturn in 2020. Between 2015 and 2019, the Chinese retail market had been growing at more than 10% annually. Much of the recent growth is attributed to the positive growth in online sales. Online retail channels saw a jump of over 7% in book sales, amounting to 76 billion RMB. Meanwhile, physical bookstores experienced a plunge of about 33%. Now let's take a quick look at the overall book market in the first half of 2021, and let's take a closer look at the market's recovery from COVID-19. In the first half of 2021, the overall book retail market showed a positive growth rate of 11.45%. The physical store channel actually has shown substantial forward movement in an increase of 51% year on year. The overall online store channel continued to maintain positive growth, but the growth rate slowed down significantly with a year-over-year growth rate of only 3%. Strong discounts and convenient shopping are the major draws for online retail. In 2021, the leisure reading market had not returned to the pre-epidemic level, and this is seen as being behind some of the deterioration of the online channel sales. In the first half of 2021, the children's market was still the largest market, but the size fell. Social sciences market ranked second and accounted for a significant increase. The gap between the top two segments has narrowed down. So here are some key market trends in the first half of 2021. The growth rate of online store channels has slowed down significantly, while physical stores have not yet fully recovered. In the post-epidemic era, the consumption habits of readers have changed, and more people have turned to online store channels, making the recovery of physical bookstores even more difficult. One significant development this year was the explosive growth of short video platforms like TikTok or streaming video sites that are now promoting books, usually at a great discount of 60 to 67%. The children's segment, as you can see here, accounts for almost 60% of these sales. Now let's take a quick look at the impact that foreign authors have in China today. The market share of imported works and sales value has been fairly stable over the years. As you can see, it hovers around 20%. In the first half of 2021, almost 16% of books offered for sale in China are from foreign authors. These represent 22% of all sales and 20% of all the units sold in China. The number of new books written by foreign authors showed a slight downward trend in the first half of 2021. Revenue from children's books accounted for over 40% of revenue from all imported works. Now let's move on to the development of the digital publishing industry. In 2019, the digital publishing industry reached an impressive 980 billion RMB, or about $150 billion in revenue, an increase of 11% compared with 2018. The market for ebooks alone is a little under $1 billion US. There have been some pretty significant new developments within the digital publishing industry. One, we're seeing the emergence of books using augmented and virtual reality. Publishers are leveraging their IP and expanding into online literature, animation, games, audiobooks, cultural tourism, music, film, and television. Second, the leading role of online literature has become increasingly prominent. In 2019, the market size of online literature industry reached approximately 20 billion RMB. The cumulative works reached more than 25 million, and the number of online literature authors reached over 19 million. And the number of online literature readers in China exceeded 450 million. Third, within the pay per knowledge segment, we're seeing the Matthew effect, where the rich get richer. And this has had a significant impact on this industry. In 2020, the number of digital reading users reached 494 million, with a growth rate of over 5%. Children have also become important users of reading. And also significant to point out is that the payment for children's digital reading has increased over 56%. Considering the scale of the market, around 500 million active users, these are reading and listening statistics are pretty impressive, especially when you contrast them to the number of print books that they're actually reading. As you can see, the average person reads 9 books in electronic format versus 6 books in print format. So I imagine that you're all wondering, what's the best way to partner with Chinese publishers, booksellers, and authors? What's the best way for you to get a piece of this pie? And what's the best way for you to sell your rights to Chinese publishers? I have several suggestions. We recommend working with a local partner. This is due largely to language and culture. Nearly all discussions with editors are conducted in Chinese. The process is largely shaped by China's unique cultural values. There are many fine agencies to choose from in China. Most of you, I assume, are already working with one of these. And if you need introductions, we're happy to advise you. As a big data company, Openbook, of course, recommends that you take a data-driven approach to identifying, engaging, and following up with the publishers that you select to work with. Here's our online database system. Every day, thousands of publishers log in to check the status of their sales, and investors are using this to identify trends amongst publishers. We can also provide you with an English language report based on your needs. If you'd like to check the sales for some books, some categories of books, or publishers, or the market as a whole. For example, these are examples of reports that we can submit to you. We are currently trialing an online platform that lists books that are being offered from foreign publishers. If you're interested in having your books listed, just drop us a note. Our contact information is displayed at the end of this presentation. Based on our daily page views, your books will get great exposure. We're also actively involved in assisting Western publishers, booksellers, and investors to develop strategies for entering or expanding their presence in China. And we'd be happy to talk with you about your goals. We recently advised a leading British augmented reality technology company identify market entry strategies for China. We also introduced them to China's best-selling children's books, which they've incorporated into their platform. And we helped them negotiate a partnership with a leading Chinese bookseller to help them distribute their innovative AR platform in China. We've also recently advised a leading European audiobook platform acquire best-selling Chinese authors' copyrights for global distribution outside of China, and initially in Chinese. This project will last at least 5 years and involve the Chinese authors in promotional events outside of China. Openbook organizes events every year for booksellers and publishers to discuss the latest developments and trends. Our invitation-only conference in January includes 500 publishers and 500 booksellers. And finally, let's consider cooperating with some of Chinese best-selling authors. As I mentioned earlier, China is now focused on quality, and an increasing number of these quality titles are being produced by Chinese authors. As publishers and agents, you've been successful in selling books into China. Now we see an opportunity for you to use your skills to sell the best books from China throughout your network. In conclusion, China is a market worth engaging in. Its middle class continues to grow at an astounding rate. And as you can see, Chinese love books. In my view, China is in the midst of its own cultural renaissance. This is highlighted by the familiar new skylines emerging throughout all of China, and also with the impressive high-speed rail systems connecting all of the major cities and the impressive new air terminals and intercity transportation networks. But beyond the infrastructure accomplishments, in the last 10 years, there's been an amazing advancement in the sciences and the arts. And this is also being seen in the book publishing industry today. China is continuing to cautiously deal with the epidemic, and we're very optimistic about the future of the Chinese publishing industry. Although during this special outbreak period, you may not be able to come to China, our enthusiasm for welcoming you in the future has not been diminished. We're pleased to help you in your business in China. Welcome to China. Thank you all once again.